Welcome to the How Did We Get Here podcast, the show that allows inspiring women from all walks of life a place to tell their story. Follow along every fortnight as we chat about each woman's challenges, life lessons, and words of wisdom that they have picked up along the way. Everything that has led them to being right here and right now. I'm your host, Jess, and from wherever you are in the world, I hope the story you hear today makes you smile, laugh, and maybe even cry a little. I hope it inspires you and fills your cup up just a little bit more, because in this day and age, inspiration and stories are always worth sharing. So grab a coffee or a tea and settle in for today's episode. And welcome back to the How Did We Get Here podcast. Thank you all so much for joining us today on our second episode of 2025. And I'm going to kick off this episode and just welcome the absolutely amazing Nina. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Of course. Very excited to be here.
So, random story, like a little bit of a background story. Nina and I met literally once. We were both on holidays down the South Coast, training at any time. And I can't remember exactly how we started talking, but we were both just two bubbly gym girls that were literally the only girls at the gym at that time. And we
I
just
remember this so clearly.
Oh, really? Go. Please tell the story, because I can't remember.
I was doing hip thrusts, which are like my least favorite exercise. Like, I absolutely hate them. And I went over to my boyfriend to be like, can you like just come and support me? Like, come and spot me, because like I'm not going to do it otherwise. And he had his headphones in and he like couldn't hear me. And then you saw me like kind of like trying to get his help. And you're like, oh, do you need a spot? Like, I'll come spot you. And I was like,
oh my God, yes, I remember.
It was actually such a like wholesome little interaction we had. And you came over and you were like motivating me. I was like, yes, this is exactly what I need.
And now that's literally my whole life and job and identity.
Yeah, pretty much. And here we are. Nothing's changed.
And literally nothing's changed. Well, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
When I reached out to Nina, I wanted to sort of branch out to a few different women that I know and that I've come into contact with throughout my life who've inspired me for different reasons. So as we sort of have the conversation today, my listeners, you'll all get to know Nina a little bit more, and sort of you'll learn a little bit about her in terms of why I've chosen her to be a guest on the podcast. But before we get into that, Nina, my question to you to kick off today's episode, without telling everyone what you do for work,
yes,
how would you describe yourself as a person? Like your personality, your interests, your, you know, as a character. Let's say you were like a character in a game or something like that. How would you describe yourself?
I would say I'm a very multi-passionate fitness lover. Absolutely adore all things health, wellness, all about self-development, but at the same time, very chaotic, raw and real. Have a lot of love for other people, love meeting new people, extremely bubbly, I would say. And yeah, that's kind of how I would summarize myself. A little bit unhinged. I actually asked my friend a similar question and her immediate response was just chaotic, but in a good way.
Just controlled chaos, I guess.
Chaos.
Yeah.
We love it.
We love that. Absolutely love that so much. Okay, so take us back to your childhood, your adolescence, everything that you have experienced, like pivotal moments in your life that have sort of built the foundations of who you are as a person, and how some of these instances, events have shaped your values as a person, your work ethic, and who you are essentially today.
Going back, probably the like earliest times I can remember was when I started dance quite young. That was probably my first like defining thing, I would say, that happened. I was about 5 or 6, and this was my first kind of like hobby. I was trying out all different kinds of sports and this and that, trying to find like a little interest. And dancing was like the first thing that kind of I fell in love with. And anybody who knows dance knows it's a lot of routine, like you do the same thing every single week, a lot of consistency involved in that. And I think that's where I first, started to really develop this understanding of habit formation and what consistently doing the same thing can kind of lead to an end result. So I was doing ballet up until the age of like 12-ish, and then from there I got into a pre-professional ballet school. So this is when it really started to become like my whole entire life and
Wow.
identity. Simultaneously, I have always like loved school. Like I've always been quite academic in that sense,
Mm-hmm.
which I'm definitely grateful for. I think a lot, some people hate school or they love it. I was one of
Yep.
those people who I actually really enjoyed school. So that, along with my ballet, I think I just had like a really nice structure in my life, really good routine. I always had like goals I was working towards, whether that be with school or whether that be with dance. So yeah, when I was about 12, 13, I got accepted to a school in Melbourne. So I actually moved from Perth to Melbourne to go to like full-time dance school. So if you've seen Dance Academy, it's like literally like
Full
that.
on. Yeah. Wow.
So I think I
But
was,
also, I didn't know you're from Perth originally.
oh yeah, we actually are
Wow.
in Perth now. Fun
Oh my
fact.
God. What the hell?
I know, it's been a lot. It's been a lot. This is in the past like 2 months, by the way. So you're not
Okay, all right. So I'm not that behind.
No. I haven't actually announced it anywhere. So
Yeah.
you're not behind.
Spoiler.
Spoiler. So yeah, when I was about, I think, 12, 13, went to this ballet school. And that was like full time, all day, every day, lots of ballet, all this and that. And yeah, same kind of story as I said. Like I just really started to realize how doing the same thing was having these massive impacts in my life. Like I actually remember distinctly one day in ballet class, I randomly thought to myself, when I point my foot, I'm going to really start thinking about like lengthening my toes when I point, because you're supposed to lengthen rather than crunch. Crunching's like the innate thing you do.
Yeah.
And I don't know what made me do this. I was really young at the time, like had no logical idea of what like habits and things were. And I just remember one day, I'm going to do this. And every day in class, I would think to myself, do this, do this, do this, do this. And then one day when I was in that ballet school in Melbourne, one of the teachers looked at my feet and they were like, wow, you don't have crunched toes. Like, congratulations. Like, that's incredible. And that was my first like light bulb moment of like, ding, like I can actually like mentally change things in my life if I actually focus on them and think about them.
Mm.
So I think I'm very blessed that I had that whole dance experience, because it is so rigid and you learn so much about discipline, whether that's in like with your body, with your health, your wellness, and even little things like doing your hair for class, making sure you're on time, all
Presentable.
those things.
Yeah.
That obviously makes such a big impact later on. So yeah, then I did that until I was about 14. And then I decided, hey, this actually is not for me. Like, this is not what I want to do with my life. Moved back to Perth. Mm-hmm. And then from there, went to uni, did all those usual things. Didn't really have another passion. Did feel quite lost. And that's when I started to really fall in love with the gym and exercise. It's quite like a stereotypical flow every dancer takes, is they go from doing ballet and then they quit and then they become a Pilates instructor.
Yeah.
Or they fall in love with the gym. I was absolutely no different. But I think once you start getting into that routine of like moving your body every single day, you really, really start to miss it. And that's what I felt. There was this like gap in my life.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when I started to turn to the gym, to wellness, to Pilates, all of those things.
I definitely also think that the sort of the movement patterns and everything like that from dance would have made the transition to Pilates really, not really easy, but like the foundations were there for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially because the main thing I instruct is bar, which is like obviously combined with ballet. So the blend for me was just perfect. And that was when I really started to like, so obviously became a Pilates instructor.
Yeah. Spoiler.
Work with so many like women and girls and females, and being in that environment, it's quite different to dance, where it's quite toxic and everyone's competing against each other. And then you start to walk into the gym or you walk into a Pilates class, and it's the same in the way of like everyone's there moving, they love this and that, but it's such a supportive environment instead of that like toxic competition.
Yep.
And just being around these people every day, and they're coming to you being like, oh my God, like I'm starting to actually love fitness because I'm loving your classes and all this stuff. It just has such a positive impact on yourself.
I think as well might also be, and again, like I'm sort of generalizing here in terms of dance, like the competitive world of dance, like you said, it could be a little bit toxic. It could be really sort of not detrimental, but like really sort of negative in a way. Yeah. Whereas I think with Pilates and the gym, the environment in which you're in is more about supporting your mental well-being, your physical
Yeah.
well-being. So like having those two sort of polar opposite outlets, you know, you kind of can't compare the two in terms of how they make someone feel.
Absolutely. So yeah, that's kind of brought me to the past like few years. And then do we want to talk about my social stuff?
Of course we can talk about that. So this is where we're at now. Actually, let's not get into the work talk just yet.
Okay.
We will get into that. I
Yeah.
did want to sort of stay a little bit more on the dance
Stay there.
dance background at the moment. Did
Yeah.
you ever experience any sort of toxic like habit forming or anything to do with that world?
I would actually say I was pretty lucky in that sense, but
Mm-hmm.
it's definitely so real, especially when I was at this school, because a lot of girls are like, have moved away from home. You don't have any real contact with like normal people your age. You are surrounded solely by other ballerinas. You're watching what everybody's eating. Like,
Yep.
my teacher was Russian,
Ooh.
and I'm actually not exaggerating when I say it. All she ate was chocolate, and then she smoked. Like, that is quite literally.
I'm sorry. What a contradiction, though.
I know,
What the fuck?
that's the ballerina diet. Back in the day, and it still definitely lingers just in
The
way
culture.
yeah, definitely.
Yep. Yep.
Absolutely. And there are comments being thrown like left, right, and center about your weight and how you look. And it is, yeah. I was actually just chatting to a friend the other day about, this isn't so much on like the body side of things, but just like as an idea of like what it was like mentally. I remember one day in class, for some reason, she would kind of just pick different people to pick on like each day. And one day it was me, and it was like, what are you doing? Like, what are you, in her Russian voice, what are you doing? What's this? Like, just having a go at me for everything. And I'm like, I'm not doing anything different today than usual.
Yeah.
And then the next day, back in class, doing the same thing again, same routine, same exercises. And she's like, yes, Nina, today you show me why you're here. Like, today I see why you're the one from WA we picked. Yesterday, I wasn't sure. And I'm like, what is this like manipulation going on in your mind?
100%. Like she's trying to sort of make you second guess yourself in your head to make you work harder when essentially you were doing the same fucking thing.
And I'm like 13 at this point. I'm like, what is going on? Like, I'm so confused. Like, you're giving me trust issues. So yeah, I remember one day as well, she just stared at this girl at the end of class, and she's like, cry, cry, cry. And this girl was not in any way, shape, or form like a sensitive kind of gal. She's like the goofy one in the class, and she's like standing there kind of like trying not to laugh. And she's just yelling at her, cry, cry. And she's trying to, like, I could see her trying to like muster up a tear so that she could cry.
To get this psycho teacher off her ass.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But
wow.
I personally, I was quite lucky in the sense that obviously I had some terrible relationship with it in some sense, and there were definitely things that lingered. But from the sense of like affecting my body image or anything like that long term, I would say I was pretty lucky in that sense.
That's really, really good. That's so good because it's like it's such a slippery slope, I think, for young women in the dance world to sort of fall trap to that. And that's really good to hear that you weren't sort of one of those girls who sort of, you know, felt like they had to look and be a certain way, in order to meet their standards. So, wow.
Yeah. I know
so
it's a bit of trivia about me.
Yeah, it's so good. I love learning stuff about my guests. Like it's exciting. Okay, so from there, let's get into what you do now for work and sort of where all of that has led you. So you were a Pilates instructor, and that was your work for a long time.
Yeah. So I was teaching Pilates. I was also like online PT for a little bit, and obviously with that comes you need a social media presence. So I had pages for all of like my brands and coaching and whatever. And I've just always loved socials. I've always been one of those girls who like wants the beautiful Instagram feed. So I was obviously just passionate about it as well. And then I was doing that for a few years, and then my partner and I moved to Sydney. This was when I was about 22, I would say. Moved to Sydney, and again, I was teaching, loved it. And then during that time, one of the gyms I was actually working at kind of approached me and were like, hey, we can tell you obviously love your socials. Would you be interested in helping us out with ours?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, yeah, like what a dream, what a breeze. Like I can do this
Yeah.
kind of thing. So I start working for them as well, kind of just on the side. And through that, I just started to get other people reaching out saying, hey, are you doing X, Y, and Z socials? Like, can you help us out with ours? And honestly, within like 3 months, it had completely taken over my Pilates work. And
Yeah.
essentially, social media management became like my core jobs, content creation for these people, editing, posting, mostly in the fitness industry to start because they all kind of came through the gym.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, within 3 months, I think I'd hired somebody to kind of help me out because I was like drowning in the amount of work that I had to do. And I kind of was like, oh, this is like, I think this could be a bit of a thing. Like it was
Yeah.
completely unintentional, but I kind of made the decision to move over and focus a bit more on that. So still keeping my foot in the door in terms of Pilates. I still to this day teach and always will. I just absolutely love it. And at the same time, my personal socials really started to grow as well from that
Mm-hmm.
Pilates perspective. So I think they went hand in hand. Obviously, people saw the work I was doing for my clients and then also the work I was doing for myself. And essentially, that's just continued to grow from there. Now we've got a team of 4 to 5 summer contractors. So I just don't really count them. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's pretty much what I do now.
That's amazing. So
Yeah.
as a business owner, so if there's anyone listening who potentially wants to start their own business, who wants to sort of delve into the field of social media and things like that, what would be, your 3 to 5 big pieces of advice that you would give to them?
I would definitely say start your own, whether that's an account for the most random niche ever. You need to be in it every single day. Like I use myself as a case study pretty much for all of my clients. So just as soon as you can, start immersing yourself in the world. You don't need 100,000 followers, but you do need to be able to have some evidence of like, this is my style, this is what I can do, and just staying on top of it.
Mm-hmm.
Another one I would say is imposter syndrome is so real in the social media space because it's such a new industry and it changes every day. So I think working on your confidence in the way of knowing that there's no one right way to do things.
Mm-hmm.
Try not to be looking at everybody else and going, oh, like I should be offering their services, or like they posted something different, like maybe I should be doing that. I think just trusting that you probably know a lot more than what 90% of your clients know, and just having confidence in what you're doing and being able to adapt it rather than just panicking and backtracking
Yeah.
100 times, which is what I used to do. Like the amount of times I've cried over, I don't know what I'm doing. Like everyone knows what they're doing.
Just trust your gut and just go with what feels good.
100%. And just be confident. Be confident in it. And probably the other piece of advice on that same kind of vein is one thing that I used to really freak out about is being like young and thinking people don't take me seriously and I'm a female and thinking all these kinds of things. And honestly, in the past maybe 6 months to a year, I've woken up and been like, no, that's actually such a superpower. The amount of clients who come to me and they're like, we want you because you're young and you get it and you're in the TikTok world and you're just kind of on top of it. It's just made me realize that your age or your gender is not
indicative of it's not indicative of your ability or your reasoning or a business's reasoning for not wanting to hire you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it all just comes down to
your confidence in yourself. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
for sure. What about sort of your lessons that you've had to learn the hard way as a business owner? Maybe not necessarily the hard way, but things that have just been difficult as a business owner.
People is the most difficult, whether that's people I've hired or people I'm working with. I have made only one hire that I wasn't super stoked with, and client-wise, there's been a few red flag clients who I probably saw the red flags and probably ignored that from the start. So I think having really clear boundaries with yourself and what you want in the business, whether that is with a team member or your clients, like if I get that resume and I do that interview and I'm like, yeah, they're pretty good, like they'll do. No, it's
a solid no.
It's a solid no. If it's not a fuck yes, it's a no. That's one.
I love that saying. I love that.
Like, And same with clients. And I think the client side especially comes with confidence and knowing your worth and knowing when to say no. That's also probably a second lesson is actually start doing less and saying no. This sounds really weird, but
No, I get that.
my client actually said this to me the other day. So we worked with her a while back and then we stopped for a period of time. And then she called me up the other day and she was like, can we start up again? She was like, just some feedback on my end. She was like, it's nothing bad on you, but can we just do almost
Less.
Like, I would always go above and beyond what was in the contract and what the deliverables are because I'm just so in love with my clients and I just want them to get the most. So, for example, if I've got 3 posts in the contract, I might give them 4. And she's like, that's great, but I'm already so overwhelmed with 3. And it was also causing a lot of stress on, our team because we're changing things all the time. It's causing stress on them. And I think it's realizing sometimes less is more and doing a few things really well is a lot better and a lot healthier and easier and simpler for everybody involved than trying to do a million different things.
Yeah.
So I think, focusing on your strengths, sticking to your actual boundaries and rules is really, really important.
Definitely. I honestly could not agree more. And like, it's hard. I think in any industry running a business in general, like again, if this is like your first go, you always have to sort of learn over time. I've definitely, I've been running my business now for 3 years and even now, like I do things so differently to how I was doing it in the beginning in the first year.
Sure.
So, as long as you're able to, one, know your self-worth, know what you bring to the table for your clients and, to believe that you are as good as the way that you want to come across to your clients, so
absolutely.
I love that. That's great. So good. Okay. Continuing on from that conversation. So in essence, I love asking this question because it sort of makes people think about their place in the world and sort of outside of you as a person. But like, Nina, what do you think your purpose is in life?
Ooh, this is hard.
I know.
I honestly think like taking everything I do and everything I've done and everything I love, I really do think my purpose is helping other people achieve what they want to achieve, whether that be like they really want to grow their business and they don't think they can, or they hate the gym, or they think they hate the gym and they really want to get into it. Nothing makes me happier than when somebody comes to me and they're like, oh my God, I'm actually loving your workouts. Like, I can't wait to come next week. Or a client's like, wow, we got so many sales today. Like, I never thought we could get over this amount of views. Even if, no matter how small or big it is, I just love helping other people like realize what they can do, because I think just so many people really don't understand what they're actually capable of and that it's not out of reach for them. I think especially because I work in socials. Everyone looks at everybody else, compares one another. But when you really get down to it and you start to get to know these, people with 1 million followers or, this influencer, they're just real people who just like gave it a crack. And I think just helping people understand that could also be them really is like what I adore. That's just my favorite thing in the world.
I love that. I totally agree with you with that. Like in my niche, like as in with coaching and with the fitness space and things like that, like just helping people realize that they are more capable than they think they are, or they are more, like I said, capable in terms of like taking control of their life and their health and falling back in love with movement and being healthy and looking after themselves. And, I give you these tools and you just go out into the world and do what it is that you need to do. But yeah, I completely agree with that.
Yeah.
That is such a good purpose. What a good purpose to have in life.
I know. You're lucky.
So, another quick question that I do love. So, if you were to write a list of things that bring you the most joy in life.
Right.
See, but like little things for me, it's like when I get to start a new book.
Okay.
Or like
okay.
my first sip of coffee in the morning is just like I wake up and I think about my first sip of coffee in the morning. That's fine.
We can get nitty gritty.
So, what brings you the most joy in life? Little things, big things, and everything in between.
My doggy. I
What
know.
dog do you have?
I have a Westie Poo, so like your typical little white fluffy thing.
Oh my
He's
God.
actually my world, but when I moved to Sydney, I did have to leave him, but we're back in Perth now, so it's like he's like 15 now and so old, but
Oh.
I know. So him, my friends, I'm such a girl's girl. I just adore them.
Yep.
Definitely health and fitness, of course, but other things, music, cannot get enough of it.
Oh,
Constant.
same.
Again, dance background. I'm always dancing in my head internally. Um,
Are you
I
one of those girls that like needs to play music from like the second you wake up in the morning when you're getting ready in the bathroom? Same.
My
Like,
boyfriend actually drove with me to the office today, and I was like cranked the music up, and he turned it down, and I was like, if you're driving with me, you don't get to touch. I'm the
don't.
DJ. This sets the vibe for the whole day. Like, please do not
Yeah.
interrupt.
Yeah.
So yeah, all those things. Diet Coke, honestly, I drink it like it's water. I actually don't really drink water, which is absolutely
No.
I know that's criminal, isn't it? So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, feeling girly. I'm a drinks girl, really. There's a lot of drinks that bring me joy, if I'm honest. If you give me half a glass of Riesling a day, I'm stoked.
I'm great. I'm set.
Awesome. Seriously, I'm set. Yeah.
I love that. I love that so much. My list of things that bring me the most joy, like for definitely my number one is my coffee in the morning. Like
Yeah.
I need to set the tone for my day, and if I need to speak to people or interact with other people in the world, I need my coffee first thing. I can't.
Yesterday, I actually got my lips tattooed, which you can kind of tell.
Oh, very nice.
Anyway, I wasn't allowed to drink coffee. Oh my God, it was actually so rough. My friend was doing it as well. So the day before, she was like, no coffee. I was like, you sure? Like, what about just one at 5 a.m.? Like, my appointment's at 2, it'll be fine. Just no coffee. And then in my head, I was like, I'm just going to get one in the morning. Like, it'll be fine. And I wake up, and I woke up at about 6. She'd already texted me at 5:30, just no coffee. I was like, okay, actually,
Oh God, damn it!
I can't have one.
Yeah.
And it was brutal. It was brutal.
How was the tattooing session though?
It was actually fine. Like the start of it is a little bit like pinchy, but they continuously are like applying the numbing, and then towards the end, just like a few areas were getting a little bit sore, but nothing major. We're girls. We've definitely been through worse.
Oh, absolutely. Anyone that's ever gotten laser hair removal done, geez, that pain. Like
Yeah,
literally.
You're set. So no, I'm excited to see what they look like. They're a bit crazy at the moment, but
no, I think they look great. I think it's like, again, computer screen, but still, I think they look fantastic. It just
looks like I've got like a full face on.
We love that. We love that so much.
We love that.
So good. So good. Okay. Well, I'm just trying to think. I wanted to sort of delve in a little bit. So give us a bit more background about your family life.
Mm-hmm.
Like because I love sort of learning a little bit more. So you said you lived in Perth.
Yeah.
Were you very close with your family growing up?
Yes and no. I have a brother, so me, my brother, and then my parents.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember any. Like, yeah, we were fine as a family. We've never been like a full on intense. You know how
in each other's pockets.
Yeah,
family.
like we've got a pretty small family in terms of extended family.
Mm-hmm.
Like most of our extended family live overseas, so it's just the four of us. Me and my brother super close, very, very different. He's like the sensitive philosopher, and I was like the crazy younger sibling who just poked fun at him, but adored him at the same time. But you know, I was the chaos in the family. So we have had us, and then my mum's side, the grandparents, our Youe and Bapu, so we're half Greek.
Yep.
So that was our little tribe. Absolutely adore all of them. When I was a little bit older, though, my parents broke up in my mid-teens. And again, this was the time around like my ballet school era.
Yeah.
My teenage angst era.
Right. Yeah. Say less.
Yeah. So, I mean, it wasn't the worst thing. I feel like I handled it like any other kind of teenager would, their parents splitting up.
Yeah.
But yeah, in terms of younger life and how we were, they were always super supportive of anything I was doing, always gave me the freedom to do what I wanted. Yeah, just good parents, good family. I was lucky.
That's good. That's so good. So you said you and your brother are still close. Does he also live in Perth?
So he lives in Melbourne. He just finished finally studying for like 8 years. He did philosophy and then law. So he's super smart academic.
Wow.
Fancy pants lawyer man now. So
That's
he lives in
amazing.
Melbourne, but he comes back and visits us. And then in Perth, I live with my partner now, but my mum lives literally around the corner, and she lives with my yaya
Oh,
and my dog. So,
I love that.
so I'm always over there getting my little dose
Sweet
of
treats.
food. Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
As soon as I walk
Yeah.
in the door, there's like food in front of me.
Yeah.
So,
There's little mothers or just something sweet.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, when my parents actually broke up, so I was about 15. My yaya was living in the house and my brother was moving away at the time. So it was just us girls. And it was honestly the best thing ever. Like, my dad was quite strict, but my mum was not at all. And so as soon as dad left, it was like I was going out, I was having fun. Like
Yeah.
my friends were over all the time and it was just the girls in the house. And that was just such a nice time, like thinking back on it. Me and mum got really, really close then. So I've always been very much surrounded by the girlies, for the girlies.
I love that. I'm so for the girlies too. Yeah.
Which I think is obviously like is shown in later life.
Yeah, definitely. You even through your socials as well, you 100% come across as a girl's girl. Like, and so that, bad. Like, I know that.
Days, that's why I'm here.
Well, I love that so much. Yeah, because actually, speaking of the gays, you used to train at City Gym.
Yeah.
In the city. Yeah.
Yes, me and all the gays.
Yeah, literally. That is like one of my favorite gyms. Oh.
Absolutely thrived because every compliment I got was so genuine. It was like, girl, your ass. I was like, yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, being in these environments is so, it's just best. It really 100%. Is just the best, especially as like a straight girl.
Yeah, City Gym, I remember like we used to train at that gym every now and then, like close to the city. Yeah. And it's just such a great environment. And then even when they did the renos and like the essence, I think, of the gym was still there.
Yes.
So yeah, I definitely vibe that gym in Sydney. I love it.
Yeah. It doesn't have that, like some of the bigger gyms have that kind of bodybuilder culty, looking down on you kind of, let's all flex in the mirror kind of vibe. Whereas City Gym's just like everyone's just there for a good time. Like, everyone's friends. I love them.
Just having a laugh and just enjoying being in the gym. Yeah,
exactly. Compliments are flying. I love it.
That's so good. Yeah, I did love that gym too. Definitely. Okay, so we've sort of covered a little bit more of your background, your origin story, more about dance and sort of where you are right now. So with your business, you said that you've already hired 4 to 5 workers at the moment, so some other people who work for you. Where do you see your business going in the next, let's say, 5 years' time?
Yeah. So we have actually just moved back to Perth, obviously, pretty much because we got this beautiful office space. So we have this kind of like a warehouse in Osborne Park, and we are turning half of it downstairs into a content studio. So the vision there is to obviously have our own studio that we use personally, but also can hire out to other creators. And we really want to move more into the content creation space where clients are, sending us products and we're producing that content for them, whether it be for ads, for organic. My vision has always been to have a big team. Again, I just want the like office filled with 10 girls in the Gen Z environment.
Yeah.
And I think one thing that I really love with my job, and especially now hiring people, is like making a fun work
environment.
Yeah, like this is such a defining moment for me. I remember this so clearly when I was in uni. So I studied HR and management. And I did a HR internship, like so off-brand for me. Like, I don't know why. Anyway, it was at this like mining company, really big corporate place.
Okay.
Real fancy pants. And my boss, nothing, she was fine, but she was just your typical
boss.
Straight edge boss, yeah.
Yeah.
And I just remember constantly getting in trouble for what I was wearing. Like, she would pull me into the office like every day and tell me like,
what?
Your skirt's too short, or this and that and this and that. And bear in mind, I was going on casual Fridays as well. And, I was just like, be real.
Like, cut me a break. Like, what do you want?
Be real. And bear in mind, what I was wearing was not inappropriate. I actually used to screen it with my parents before I went because I was getting so anxious about what I was wearing.
Yeah.
I just remember that, like, it was like the third time or something it had happened, or the second time. And in my head, I just clocked and I was like, I am never working a corporate 9 to 5. This is not for me.
Yeah.
I'm not doing it. I'm not going to let somebody else tell me like what I can't wear.
Yeah.
And I think that's when I really was like, this is it. Like, I'm starting my own business. And so I think that bringing that to life has been really exciting for me. So for the next few years, that's kind of the goal, is really build a team here, build ourselves as that Gen Z agency.
Mm-hmm.
We're very content focused and we're really good at doing that.
Mm-hmm.
So just expanding our reach there and kind of becoming hopefully a leader in Australia. And I definitely still want to have the flexibility to travel and go overseas if I want. So building it to a point where we have a really strong base here in Perth, but then also the flexibility to work remotely and live life that way as well.
To the fullest, yeah.
Yeah.
What countries have you already visited? Like, have you already been to, and where would you like to go in the next couple of years? What's your travel plans?
On the travel plans, I mean, we've done Europe a few times, as most of us have, Bali as well, but we went to America last year. We loved that. So hoping to spend a bit more time there. I think just from a business perspective as well, there's so much opportunity there. So hoping to explore that obviously while we're young and we can do it.
Whereabouts in the States is sort of like your go-to areas?
In terms of living, I'm really leaning towards Brooklyn in New York. I love like Manhattan, but it is very intensely corporate work hustle. Even in Brooklyn, when we were there, they call Manhattan Work Island. So everyone goes to Work Island and they come home and stay in Brooklyn.
Oh my God.
A lot more of like a fun, vibrant, youthful vibe. I think in my head, I used to think of Brooklyn like in Sex and the City, when it used to be a black shithole and everyone's like, oh, you live in Brooklyn. But now it's like super cool and trendy. So definitely want to spend more time there. The other place I loved but could not live is Vegas. I'm like,
oh my God, yes. I loved Vegas too.
Right. Creative. I'm like, no, this is me.
This is a vibe.
This is the vibe.
Yeah.
For sure. So yeah, that's kind of where our head's at. But my partner works in a similar space as me. He works in marketing, has his own business too. So
that's handy.
Super handy. We literally like share offices pretty much. So we both are kind of just seeing how everything goes. Both the businesses are growing. So we're very open-minded as to what's going to happen, but hoping to build that freedom so we can have that flexibility essentially.
Yeah. Do you find it, so I guess it is really, not really easy, but a lot easier on your relationship, the fact that you guys are both in the same space in terms of work? Because I can definitely understand that, especially being in the social media world, that you are on your phone constantly.
Yeah.
Constantly. And especially in our day and age, I feel like a lot of couples have fights or issues about, you know, how much screen time they have.
Yeah, different work priorities and things like that, for sure.
Yeah. So how do you guys sort of manage that with your relationship?
We are definitely blessed that we are on the same page with that. I will say that. I actually
That's so good.
The other day, and it's got like 400,000 views, and it's just me filming him on his phone all the time. But I get it, and like I love that with him. When we started dating, actually, he was probably a big driver of why I became an entrepreneur. Like, he has always had his own business. And this was around that same time when I was doing that stupid internship.
Yeah. And you're like, fuck this, I want to get out of here. Like, I hate it.
I actually think it was after a day at my internship and I was like upset about everything and saying like, I can't do this, I don't want to do this. And I remember him saying like, you realize you don't have to work for somebody else. And it was like this light bulb moment that went off in my head that I had just never even thought about before. And he just showed me the light. Literally. And yeah, he's always been so supportive, and I honestly don't think I could have done it without him. Like, the amount of times I've gone crying to him over little accounting things or like client issues, and just having someone who gets it is just so easy. Important.
Yeah.
And 100% in terms of the like work ethic side of things, I think a lot of people would really struggle. Like, even talking to people close to me who aren't in that same mind frame, I think they kind of look at it and are like, you both work
It's too
too much,
much.
there's no balance, like I don't,
Yeah.
you need to take a break kind of thing. But I think both of our perspectives are like, no, this is like the hustle era where we both get it, we're both working hard, and it's
Yeah.
or like a long-term plan. So it's really nice to have somebody who can support that rather than attack it.
Just sort of, yeah, definitely, definitely. Like, my job is literally 24/7. Like
Yeah.
I try not to answer my clients after a certain point in the nighttime, but it's like, I'm here to provide a service. My job is a people-based service, So it's really hard. Like if I didn't have a partner who understood how much my work meant to me and how much of an effort and time I need to put into it, it's hard. It just doesn't work.
Yeah. I honestly could not imagine being in a relationship with somebody who was working kind of normal hours, so to speak.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even the like peaks and troughs that you go through, like you would know, like it's some days you're like, I actually am just so overwhelmed and I'm so stressed.
Yeah.
And bringing
That
that
I just can't even like form a sentence properly
Right.
to communicate how I feel.
Literally the other day, this is so exposing myself, but I just went into Ben's office and just started hysterically crying. And he was like, "What's wrong?" And I was like, "I actually don't know. Like, there's actually nothing wrong. I'm just so overwhelmed. Like, there's so much going on, and I just needed that." But I think if I did that to somebody, they would literally be like, "You're actually crazy. Like, you need help.
Something's wrong.
Something's actually wrong." Which, it's obviously not for everybody. It would be, sometimes I do think, wow, it'd be so nice to clock on and clock off.
I could never go back to working for anybody else but myself. Like
once you dabble, you're like, this is the life.
Yeah. And then like once you find what you're really passionate about,
yes,
it's just hard to go back to or go to anything else from this.
Yeah. And it's true when it's like, if you're doing what you love, you're not working a day in your life. It really is. It's so true. It's so true.
100%. Like I get my twin sister all the time. She's a primary school teacher, and I used to be a high school teacher, so I used to sort of have
Oh my god, wow.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like I was in a completely different work environment. Like I was at school Monday to Friday, 7:30 a.m., 8 a.m. till 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I had those set hours. I was moving out of that space and creating my own routine, having my own structure, only having myself to rely on in order to do what needs to be done. I've got undiagnosed ADHD and a bit of OCD. Like I love that. Yeah. I love that structure. I love being able to plan my day and my week and my month and my year exactly how I want it to be. Yeah. Like that just makes me so happy.
Yes. Yeah. I love being able to be like, oh, I want a coffee. I'm just going to go and get one.
Yeah.
Ask anybody.
Yeah. And like I was saying before, my twin sister will always be like, Jess, like take a day for yourself. I'm like, I don't mind. Yeah, this is because I love what I do. Like I love that I could just sit down and write a program for a client and then update another client's program and then do a meal plan and then, jump in a FaceTime call with a client for their check-in. Like I love doing it. Yeah. So yeah. Absolutely. That's so good. Okay. Well, the way that I love to wrap up my episodes is, Nina, if you were to give one piece of advice or two to your younger self from today, what would that be?
I need to think about this.
That's so fun.
I would say don't let other people's idea of what life should look like influence what you think your life should look like. That's what I would say.
I love that.
I would remind myself that you don't have to follow the same path that everybody else has done or that you even have set out for yourself, and that it's okay to change and be different.
I was just about to say, like, it's okay to change your mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, it's so fine, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Because that felt like the end of the world when I was younger.
Like, in what instance? What was that sort of pivotal moment for you?
That was definitely when I stopped doing ballet, and for like a few years after that, I was in like a really bad place, just thinking that I had failed and there was nothing else I'd ever be good at, and that, you know, I'd given it all up and nobody cared about me anymore. And this really, like, it was like typical, like if you're an Olympian and you stop and you hear about how they get in a really dark place, obviously on a much smaller scale, but just that sense of
The
there's
whole
nothing
world
else
sort
out
of
there for
ending.
me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then obviously coming out the other end and realizing, hey, I don't have to do a job that I hate. I didn't have to do that thing. And there's like more than one thing in life for you.
And you don't always have to just identify as this one version of you.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
for so long you were a ballerina. Like,
Yes.
you know, that was your identity for the longest time.
Yeah.
But yeah, now you are such a multifaceted woman that you just, you know, you've evolved into everything that you've ever wanted to be.
There's more to life than what you do.
I love that. That is a great quote. That is so good.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Far out. That's great.
It was
Okay,
probably
well,
wrong somewhere, but you can quote me.
I will definitely quote you. It'll be one of the little clips that I do for this
Yeah.
episode. So, if anyone wanted to find out a little bit more about your social media business, where to contact you, even where you run Pilates or anything like that in Perth, because I'm pretty sure you run classes on YouTube.
I do. I haven't
Mhm.
posted in a while because my life's been a bit crazy, but they're coming back.
Mhm.
We're working on something else in the background, fitness related, so that's all coming soon. So it's at Nina Youe for all things movement, Pilates, and my personal. And then
Mhm.
my business is Flickr Socials. So same handle across all
Everything.
platforms.
Mhm.
You'll find too much of me on all of them.
Never too much. Oh, Nina, thank you so much for joining me, honey. I really, really appreciate you taking the time to having a chat today because I know your life is very hectic.
Thank you for having me. It's actually been super fun. I was nervous, but no, it was great.
No, I told you, nothing to be nervous about. Alrighty, guys. So if you haven't already, please make sure you hit the like and subscribe button and pop down in the comment section below anyone else that you would like to suggest to be a guest on our podcast. And please join us for our next episode in a fortnight's time. Thank you. See you later.